Greeting, feast keepers. I'm hoping that by the time I'm finished here, I know you are enjoying yourself. I know that we are commanded to rejoice. But I'm hoping that by the time I'm finished here, you won't go into a depressive mode. But I want to start by reading a text, which is my favorite text. This is a text that I confronted a lot of people with who believe that heaven is a reward. Micah 4 and verse 1. But they shall sit, every man under his vine and under his fig tree. No one shall make them afraid. For the mouth of the Lord of hosts has spoken. For all the people walk each in the name of its God. But we will walk in the name of our Lord and our God. The Lord shall rescue Zion in that day, declare the Lord. I will assemble the lame and gather those who have been driven away, and those whom I have afflicted. And the lame I will make the remnant. And those who were cast off, strong nation, and the Lord will reign over them in Mount Zion. From this time forth, forevermore. And you, O tower of the flock, hills of the daughter of Zion, shall it come. Now, this text, as we all know by now, is referring to the coming kingdom of our Lord Jesus Christ. And I want to take you on a journey right now. I want you to imagine with your mind's eyes. I want you to envision that kingdom. Because the feast is a picture of that kingdom to come. So I want you to picture a kingdom that there will be no wars. All wars will be ceased. Men will not lift up machine guns anymore. Men will not fire missile anymore. And the world will be at long-lasting peace when Jesus Christ returns. A world where no disease, diabetes, heart disease, blindness, deafness will be eradicated. And I say glasses and braces will be found only in the museum. The desert will produce bountiful harvests. The animal kingdom will peacefully coexist with man. Imagine, in your mind's eyes, a world like that. A world without crime and violence. And right now, our government, in order to combat crime, have to take extreme measure in order to combat crime. Imagine a world without crime, without violence, and you can walk the street late at night. You can feel comfortable when your children is not around. Imagine a world like that, brethren. When people don't have to fear being held up by gunmen. The extortionate who plague the business community will be no more. No more droughts. A world where the weather will be perfect. No more hurricane. No more earthquake. Perfect world when Jesus Christ returns. Imagine. No more corruption. A world where the businessmen will not be able to pay the politician for any great favors. You know, during election time, business people, even if they are not making enormous amount of profit, they make sure that they secure themselves within the political parties because they are setting up themselves to get favors. Imagine a world like that. Imagine a world, and I'm not showing any words. Imagine a world where you can bribe any of the government office to get things done. Imagine a world like that. Imagine a world where the police can't pull you over to extort money from you, to tell lie on you that you were speeding. And you know, a report came out that the police throughout the world is the most corrupted part of the society. Imagine we live in a world where we have no more corruption within the police force. Imagine a world where you can bribe the police. Can bribe the police. No more brutality. No more killing in the inner city. And police go in the inner city and abuse young men. Just watch a video recently. How they gang up on a young man, beat him to frazzle, and somebody video it. And I see many of those videos even in the United States where people post online. Thank God for cameras, video cameras. Thank God for the phone in that aspect. A lot of these police caught on cameras beating up people, especially people of color in the United States. And that is the world, brethren, we are looking forward to. And that is the world, the Feast of Tabernacle pictures. That is the world to come. But there is a twist to that. There is a twist to that. Because while the Feast of Tabernacle pictures a perfect world where everything will be perfect when Jesus Christ reigns, the Feast of Tabernacle pictures something else. I call it the paradox. Because the Feast of Tabernacle pictures the wilderness experience also. And if you're read enough of your Bible, you will know what the wilderness experience were like. And that is why the Feast of Tabernacles also pictures the temporary dwellings for us. But I want to emphasize the experience that we will see around us as the Feast of Tabernacle pictures. We still living in a fallen world where we will experience pain, suffering. We will experience injustice. And many of us have experienced injustice in the workplace. I can testify to that. Many of us have been treated unfairly in the workplace. And that is the reality of our life. That is part of our experience as Christians. Even though we look forward to the kingdom. But the kingdom, brethren, is not here yet. You have to live. You have to go out and you have to work. You have to live a life because you are physical. That is our experience. I want to give you a report that was put out by the United Nations. You see, the United Nations have a text that is placed on their building because they think that it is their responsibility to bring lasting peace to the earth, to the world. They believe that it is their responsibility to address all the issues that is facing the different countries, that is facing people from all walks of life, the poorer class, people who live in poverty, extreme poverty. They believe that is their responsibility to deal with those things. Deal with the fact that there are many people right now, not because I am privileged right now to have this wonderful glass of water. Water. I am privileged. And I am giving God thanks for the fact that I have water. Clean drinking water. Remember, brethren, the feast is about giving thanks. And there are many things that we can give God thanks for. And we can rejoice. We have a reason and a purpose to rejoice at the feast. The fact that you are here, you're alive, well dressed. And I'm almost certain I could bet my life on it that all of you had something to eat this morning. I am almost, you see, I'm almost certain. I leave that 1% for the possibility of someone didn't have something. But the fact that you made it to the feast after 1 year, so many things could have happened to you, to me. You know how many people died since last year until now. And you're alive. That is enough for us to give God thanks for. Health and strength. And even if your health is not perfect, the fact that you're alive is enough to give Yahweh thanks for. So we have a reason to rejoice. But the most important thing is that we were given this great plan of salvation. And therefore we can look forward to the hope that one day Jesus Christ will return and we will be resurrected and we will be co-ruler with Christ in the kingdom. And that is more reason for us to give God thanks for. Yes, we want to extend this great news, this gospel to other people. We want to ensure that these people receive the gospel. I mean, if you have something that is lovely, something that might be of benefit to other people who you can share, it would be selfish of us not to share with other people. And therefore, we want to share the good news, the gospel, with those other people. So the United Nations have this Isaiah text celebrating the literal disarmament of all nations of the world. It refers directly to the future administration of Jesus Christ, as prophesied in Isaiah. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. He shall judge between nations and rebuke many people. They shall beat their sword into plowshares, and their spear into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. That's why I say war will be a thing of the past. Complete peace. United Nations. This was their farmer goal. And this was before 2015. And they projected that they want to achieve certain things by 2015. World leaders hope to cut in half the number of people with income of less than $1 a day. Eliminating poison from the water supply of the poor population of the world. Cut in half the number of people experiencing severe malnutrition. That was their goal, to achieve all of this. And then, listen to this, and then by 2020, remove hundreds of millions of people from desperate slum condition. Did they achieve that? I say they failed. And even if they achieve some of that, a number of people would still be left in those conditions. Because remember, they say half, and they have not achieved. Listen to this. Globally, the number of people living in extreme poverty, this is, well, I was hoping to use a word, but I will not use a word. But this is their report. This is what they say. It's not me saying. It's not I saying. Globally, the number of people is as if they are admitting that they fail. The number of people living in extreme poverty on US $1.90 a day has dropped massively from 36% in 1990 to 10% in 2015. Yes, so they would say they achieved something. But the pace of poverty reduction is slowing down. This not sound like something good. Poverty reduction is slowing down. It sounds depressive. It sounds like we are in for a rough ride in the future. It sounds like something is not connecting. Massively from 36% in 1990 to 10% in 2015. But the pace of poverty reduction slowing down. And current projections suggest that 6% of the world population will still be living in extreme poverty in 2030. Now remember what they said they would want to achieve in 2015. But they failed. Man cannot solve his problem. Man cannot address the massive poverty that is taking place in the world. I don't finish yet. Missing the target of the first sustainable development goal, no poverty. So they admit that they missed the target. Jesus Christ will not miss the target. Yahweh will not miss the target. Because Yahweh will deal with poverty. Yahweh will deal with crime. Yahweh will deal with corruption. Corruption. No country is immune from corruption as I speak. Every single country. Just that some of them have a higher level of corruption than some. But every other country, including the United States, the great United States, is corrupt. And you only have to watch the news. You only have to watch the recent news. I will not give you the details. I will not call the names, lest I offend somebody. But you only have to watch the news and see the massive corruption that is going on, that is taking place in the United States. Not to mention Jamaica. I still will not call any name. But if you have followed the news recently, some would say it is alleged. So I will leave it at that. But Jamaica is highly ranked amongst the most corrupted nation in the world. And there is very little being done to address this issue. Jesus Christ will deal with that when he comes back. Rest assured. Here is what the United Nations say. It is time. They admit that they fail. So what they are saying now, it is time to rethink how we grow and share, consume our food. It is time. If done right, agriculture, forestry, and fisheries can provide nutritious food for all the generate decent income while supporting people-centered rural development and protecting the environment. Right now, our soil, fresh water, ocean, forest, biodiversity are being rapidly degraded. So, if it is rapidly degrading, just imagine when we have more hurricane. Just imagine when we have more earthquake. Just imagine if the environment gets worse. It seems like this is a gloomy picture. It don't look good. It don't look good. But here the problem is now. Here the point now. I see all of you inside here. And many of you might not be affected by that level of poverty. Many of us might not be affected by not getting proper drinking water. Many of us might not be affected by those circumstances. So we say we're good. Do we really safe? There's a man in the Bible. I want to read him. There's a passage that is read during the Feast of Tabernacle. And I want to read from that passage. I want to take out some thing from that passage. The book is Ecclesiastes. It has to do with the Feast of Tabernacle a lot. Here's what he said. Vanity of vanity, says the preacher. Vanity of vanity, says the preacher. All is vanity. You know what is vanity? It's wind. Nothing. Vanity. Not. So what he's saying, what does a man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun? Under the sun meaning, if you look at life from the perspective outside of God, life is meaningless. Life is meaningless. Because all the achievement we can get, and I tell you, I don't want to make you feel despair. But in a way, the book itself is a despairing book when you read the book properly. Life is vanity. All your achievement, all your goals, all you strive to achieve, you don't know when you're going to leave it. Just recently, I was online, and I saw this gentleman. He's a man that I kind of used to pay close attention to him, especially when he speaks. He's part of the Democratic Party. Elijah Cummings just died recently. Fairly young, not so old. Because I'm not too far from there. He died. With all his achievement. All the things that he achieved over the, yes, you might say contribute to the society, contribute to his party. Yes, we're not denying him that. But was it worth it? I can just imagine the many sacrifices he made to achieve what he achieved, to reach that position, and to have died at what? 68. 68. He never reached the 70 marker that we are all allotted to. But let's say he was able to enjoy some of that. You and I might not be able to enjoy our achievement. Life is so uncertain, brethren. And I tell you, I don't want to make you feel despair. Life is so uncertain. Unless you live your life with God in the picture, then these things won't bother you. It won't bother you if you know that the 90% chance you go out there and you was shot by a gunman. The chance of you driving your vehicle, look at what could have happened recently. Our former Prime Minister was in an accident at his home, I understand. At his home. And he ended up in the Tony Tweets wing. You see, life is so uncertain. You don't know, I don't know what will happen to me next week, next year. I don't know if all of us will make it back next year. I don't know. But I'm going to say something that might offend some people. You know, some people died spiritually. But it would be better. It would be better if you die physically than spiritually. What do I mean? It would be better if you lose your life while you are in the church than to have an extended life and you're out of the church. I would rather that. As is the uncertainty of life. Massive cancer is one of the things that is affecting large numbers of people. Every single one of us inside here knows somebody who died of cancer. Every single one of us know at least one person. I know several died of cancer. I'm not calling cancer in anybody, you know. But these are the reality of life. And that is why the book said, look, man, life, these things are vanity. They are nothing. What does a man gain by all the toil? What do you gain? Yeah, you gain some cash. You are able to buy some goodies and the flashy gadget. You are able to buy some nice garbs. Yeah. But how does that help you in the long run? Nobody will remember the things you do after a number of years when you died. But God will. Because guess what? We believe that while you go through life, when you're going through life, your wilderness experience, that is an opportunity to build character. And that is the character that will go back to God. Remember the text that said the spirit goes back to God? It is your character. The body rot. And therefore, we want to live our life so as not to make it vanity. The sun rises and the sun goes down and hasten to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north. Round and round goes the wind. When you're gone, the wind will still be here. When you're gone, the sun will still be here. You know that, suppose I tell you that there are some trees at my grandmother's place in Manchester that were there before I was born. And recently, talking about cancer again, and recently I went to a funeral, my uncle's funeral. My uncle died of prostate cancer. And those trees are still there. Tree outlive us. Imagine tree outlive us. Can't believe that? There, I read in verse 8, all things are full of weariness. A man cannot utter it. The eyes is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. What has been is what will be. And what has been done is what will be done. And there is nothing new under the sun. There is a thing of which is said, see, this is new. It has already been. So the writer is looking at life from the perspective outside of God. Your experience and my experience. The writer ponders on life. Here's what he says in chapter 3, verse 2. For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. You know, I, not a man usually give title to my message, but I am inclined to title this message Under the Sun. As we live our life under the sun. A time to be born and a time to die. How many of us witness the birth of the young ones? How many of us witness the death of our loved ones? A time to be born and a time to die. That is your experience, and that is my experience. A time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted. That is the experience of the farmer. Life is an experience. The writer is reflecting on everything that is happening around him. And this, in a sense, can be interpreted in our wilderness experience because we will witness all of this. And depending on how you and I respond to some of these issues, we will not make it to the kingdom. A time to kill and a time to heal. We have known people who have been healed by God. But also we have known people who have been killed. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. Yes. There are times when we are sad. There are times when we are depressed. There are times when we might have to cry because of what is happening to us. But there's a time also when we laugh. How many of you laughed since you came? Laughing is good medicine. Laugh. Laugh. It's good medicine. It relaxes your face and get the blood flowing so you can at least live a little longer. A time to mourn and a time to dance. I wasn't here last night, but dancing was here last night. I heard that Sister Lola was dancing. Oh, you wasn't? Dancing. But you danced last year? Right. Many of us dance. But we also mourn for our loved ones. We mourn for our church brethren who passed on. How many of them passed away? And we wish they were here with us. And we mourn. A time to cast away stone and a time to gather stone together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. Time to lose. I've lost a number of things. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to fear and a time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silent Sometimes we need to shut up. Too much talking. Sometimes we need to reflect. Sometimes we need time. We need to get away and be alone and reflect on your life. Don't just go on casually. I must tell you, I enjoy my own company. My wife is not offended by that because I told her I enjoy my own company. I love to be alone sometimes. It gives me time to reflect. It gives me time to meditate. It gives me time to assess my life under the sun. So, sometimes, get away. Jesus did get away. Talk to the Father. A time to love and a time to hate. Not telling you to hate anyone. But that is the reality of life. Somebody hate you. I hope you don't hate somebody. Time to love. Hope you love them. The Bible says we must love, even our enemies. A time for war and a time for peace. There are times when we have less wars. But I won't even bore you with the statistic of the amount of war that is going on right now as I speak. Several wars, several conflicts throughout the world, little conflicts, ethnic cleansing, and all of those things taking place right now. But one other thing I want to look at, Solomon is going to give us some painful reflection here. In verse 16. Painful reflection. The first painful reflection Solomon gives us is corruption. Corruption that is taking place throughout the world. We're looking at life from the perspective of under the sun. And some of these things will affect you. Some of these things will affect me. Corruption. I tell you, a friend of mine, I drove with him some time ago. We left work and he stopped at a business place to pick up something. And when he came out of the place, he said to me, Allwood, you know say them boy they down there, you know. You know say them down there. Who you think he's referring to? The policeman. Them have a certain spot where them dwell, where them locate. So him say him know them down there. Him say, all right, now go drive slow. And him drive slow. He was literally crawling. And I was saying to myself, he might overdo it. That's what I was saying. He might overdo it. He's overdoing it. Yeah. And you know, my friend drove about 30 miles per hour. When he reached where the police were, they jumped out. They gone at him. Pull him over. I was in the car, I didn't come out. And they talked to him. When he come back in the car, he said, them said he was speeding. So, him say, officer, me just tell my friend in the car. And him just say car. Me just tell my friend in the car. Say, uno down here. So me could never have been speeding. Them say you're going a little bit over the speed limit. And they have him out there for nearly half an hour. They tell him to stand up because they want to give him time to think, you know. whether or not him want do a thing. Sometimes them ask you, yeah, them say left or right, but then say what you can do for yourself. You need to do something for yourself. You need to help yourself. Corruption. Rampant in Jamaica, especially among the police force. Police will lose dockets. Police will lose docket because they were paid for that, so that a case wouldn't go through. Policeman. One of the most corrupted. And I tell you, you have good police. Good policemen. But I tell you, a few of them are so corrupted. You know, so corruption will affect us. Corruption in the workplace. And because of corruption, you might be passed. Somebody might pass you and don't give you any promotion because of favoritism or because somebody do a favor or because you deal with the supervisor or the manager a particular way. So, them pass up some good people and promote some other people. Them friend, promote them friend. I have experienced that. So I can tell you, corruption in high places. I want to read a text for you. Corruption in high places. You talk about corruption. Look at see, Micah 3. You think corruption is only in government or in police? Corruption even among God's people. Hear you, heads of Jacob, and rulers of the house of Israel. Is it not for you to know justice? Them don't know justice. They were a set of unjust people. You hate good and love evil. I mean, this is said about God's people, you know. You hate good and you love evil. Who tear the skin from off my people and their flesh from off their bones. Who eat the flesh of my people and flay their skin from off them. And break their bone in pieces and chop them up like meat in a pot. You know, this is not literal. But it is how they treat the people, God's people. The judges, the priests, they were also corrupt. Then they will cry to the Lord, but he will not answer them. He will hide his face from them. Maybe this is not the point I'm making, is that God's people is also corrupt. But I want to look at Solomon, Ecclesiastes 16. It talks about corruption. Evil sits where righteousness should. When you think of corrupt food, what do you think of? Think of food that is spoiled. Food that were good. And then eventually it got spoil and can no longer be eaten. In the same way, when you expect someone to be doing the right thing, when you expect someone like the police who's supposed to enforce the law, you expect them. The judges in the country who's supposed to rule justly upholding and protecting us from evil. You know, Solomon said, this is nothing new. This is what the prophet did. Solomon asked the man under the sun, how you feel about that? How do you sit with your short life under the sun? How do you feel about the fact that while you are alive today, you might face injustice? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the fact that while you are alive today, you might face, somebody might abuse you? How you feel about that? And there's nothing you can do. You can't control that. We are likely to experience corruption. I again saw all the oppression that are done under the sun. And behold, the tears of the oppressed. Solomon is describing how the oppressed feel. They had no one to comfort them. On the side of the oppressor there was power. They had power. The police have power. The politician have power. The businessman have power. So when they are oppressed you, what are you going to do? It's like you have no way to run. There was no one to comfort them. And I thought the dead who are already dead more fortunate than the living. Imagine, this is what Solomon is saying. The dog, the puss. That is what he's saying. I hope you don't interpret it otherwise. I wasn't talking about that. There was no one to comfort them. And I thought the dead who are already dead more fortunate than the living and who still alive. But better than both is he who has not yet been and has not seen the evil deeds that are done under the sun. Must say the person when you're born yet, no have this figure through. If you had a choice of not being born, and being born and face injustice, you prefer not born? No, me want born. Because I want to, if I were called, I want to be in the kingdom. I want to make the opportunity to overcome this evil, this oppressive experience that I might be facing. And that is how we build character. We build character by overcoming all the experiences, circumstances of life. And that is what Solomon is telling him. He said, look about, look all around you. You in your wilderness experience, working towards the kingdom, you have to overcome these. The children of Israel never had the courage to face their enemy. When they were sent out, when the spies were sent out, to conquer the land, to get the land. Many of them came back with bad report. And this is our experience in the same sense. We have to overcome our giants. And our giants are what? The oppressors. Our giants are life circumstances that might hit us at any time. How much time do I have? our life, circumstances might hit us wherever you are. And I'm telling you today, all of you, all of us, including myself, we are here celebrating the Feast of Tabernacle, picturing the coming kingdom of God. But life before the kingdom is not going to be easy. Life before the kingdom is going through the wilderness, where we will be bitten by scorpions. We will be affected by drought. We will be likely to have no food. You remember they were fed by God in the wilderness. But that was their experience. And because they had that experience, many of them what? Died. They died never receiving the promise. And why did they die? They died because they never have enough faith. And that is a challenge for us all. Your faith. To face life's most difficult circumstances. Your faith. To deal with oppression. To deal with setback in the workplaces. And to even deal with problem in the church. You know that problem in the church can turn you away? How many persons were offended? Offended and left the church because somebody says something about them. Or somebody tells somebody say somebody. That is gossiping. Tearing down. And we have to face that in the church. Discouragement. Our own brethren will discourage us. The Bible said that your own brethren will betray you. These are the condition in which they betrayed you. Him not love you. No love. That is the challenge for us. But truly God is good to Israel, to those who are pure in heart. But as for me, my feet had almost slipped. You know what I'm talking about? Talking about Asaph. Asaph, who wrote some of the Psalms, he looked out there and see the level of corruption. Him look and see the wicked who were successful in all their doings. And him start question God. You know, sometimes we question God. It's okay to question God. Ask him, talk to him. But him question God. Asaph, question God. Hear what him says, Psalm 73. Truly God is good to those who are pure in heart. But as for me, my feet had almost slipped. You know what I mean by almost slip? Winding down. Him almost backslide. Yeah. Him almost take himself from God. Like how you're helping me. Yeah. My feet had almost slipped. For I was envious of the arrogant when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For they have no pangs until death. Their bodies are fat and sleek. Oh, you look around and you see the people who are not serving God. And them are prosper. And you are struggle to make two ends meet. And you wonder, what you do? What you do wrong? And you ask God and you question God and you say, God, me serving you every day. Me make sacrifices for you. But yet still, me a suffer. And the man when you know you, he ma prosper. He ma prosper. They are troubled as others are. They are not stricken like the rest of mankind. Therefore, pride is their necklace. You know the conclusion of the matter? Fear God. That is what Ecclesiastes says. Fear God. And if you go back to Micah, you realize that after he spoke on the corruption, he went on in chapter 4 and talked about the kingdom that will be here. God bless you.